You ever get excited for a movie and then, like, bam, you hear it might be gone?
Oh, yeah. Happens all the time, unfortunately.
Well, today on DRM News Global, we are talking about a movie that almost got lost, but thankfully it looks like it's going to be okay. We're talking about Coyote versus Acme.
Yeah, this movie, it's had quite the journey.
It really has. From Warner Brothers basically saying nope to then getting picked up by Ketchup Entertainment. It's pretty wild. We've got some really interesting articles that lay out the whole story.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to see how, sometimes these creative projects bump up against the realities of, making movies and how much it all costs.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, the first reports that came out were pretty crazy. It sounded like Warner Brothers was just going to shelve Coyote versus Acme, like not release it at all. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And a lot of it seems like it was because of cost-cutting measures that Warner Brothers put in place a couple years ago.
Yeah.
After the merger, Warner Bros. Discovery had a lot of debt,
Yeah.
and they needed to, figure out how to deal with that. And so, I mean, shelving a movie, as crazy as it sounds, that can actually save them money, right?
Yeah.
They can get some tax benefits, and they don't have to pay for all the marketing and stuff.
Yeah, right. Makes sense, but still kind of a bummer.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially because it sounds like the movie actually tested pretty well with audiences. So it's not like it was a bad movie.
Yeah. That's what's so weird about it. It cost what, like $70 million to make, right?
Something like that. I mean, that's what's been reported. So you think about that, and they're saying, okay, we're not going to release this. Even though people seem to like it, it's a tough situation.
Yeah, you'd think they'd at least try to, get some of that money back somehow.
Well, they said they did. Apparently, they tried to sell it to somebody else, but nobody was biting.
Yeah, that's what they said. Though with a $70 million price tag, I'm not surprised. I mean, this whole thing, it really fits into a pattern we've been seeing with Warner Brothers Discovery.
Totally. Think about what happened with Batgirl and Scoob, Holiday Haunt. Same kind of thing. They just axed them, even though they were basically done.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it, like all that work just gone. It's going to be tough for the people who made those movies.
Yeah, and it was all about those tax write-offs, right? They basically say the movie's a loss, and then they can use that to pay less in taxes.
Yeah, that's the financial side of things. But what about the creative side?
Exactly. I mean, it's tough all around. And this Coyote versus Acme situation, Warner Brothers actually wrote off a bunch of money for what they call mystery projects early last year, like $115 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And most people think Coyote versus Acme was one of those projects. So it's like they were setting the stage for this whole thing.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like this wasn't just a random decision. It was part of a larger strategy.
Right.
But okay, here's the good news. The reaction to this whole Coyote versus Acme thing was huge.
Oh, yeah. People were not happy.
Not happy at all. Like Phil Lord, the guy who directed the Lego movie, he was really disappointed. And then there was Will Forte. He's the star of Coyote versus Acme, and he went off.
I mean, can you blame him? He called it, well, let's just say he wasn't thrilled.
Yeah, he used some colorful language to express how he felt about it.
And it's not just those two. It sounds like a bunch of filmmakers were so upset that they were canceling meetings with Warner Brothers.
Wow. So it wasn't just like online grumbling, it was having real-world consequences for the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all that negative press, it definitely put pressure on Warner Brothers.
It sounds like it. Because they actually changed their minds, didn't they?
They did. They actually let the director, Dave Green, shop the movie around to other studios.
Which is great, because that's how it ended up at Ketchup Entertainment.
Exactly. So Ketchup Entertainment now has the rights to Coyote versus Acme. They paid, get this, $50 million for it.
Oh, $50 million. Wow, that's a lot of ketchup packets.
That's a lot of anything.
Yeah.
But it's a big vote of confidence in the movie. And the best part is they're actually going to release it in theaters.
Yeah, in 2026, so we still have to wait a little bit, but at least we know it's coming out.
And Gareth West, the CEO of Ketchup Entertainment, he's really excited about it. He said Coyote versus Acme is the perfect mix of nostalgia and, modern storytelling. He thinks it's going to appeal to everyone, old fans and new fans.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal for Ketchup Entertainment. I mean, think about it. They've done movies like Goodrich, Hellboy, Hypnotic, Memory, but this is on a whole other level.
It's a big step for them.
Yeah, and they've actually worked with Looney Tunes before. They distributed that movie the day the Earth blew up, a Looney Tunes movie, after Warner Brothers decided they didn't want to handle it.
Oh, wow. So they're kind of familiar with the whole Looney Tunes world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that probably made them feel more comfortable, taking on Coyote versus Acme.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we know who's making the movie and when it's coming out, but what about the movie itself? Like, who made it?
Well, the director is David Green, and the writer is Sammy Birch, who wrote that movie May December, which was really good.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. So we've got some real talent behind the camera.
Yeah, and the producers are pretty big names, too. Christopher is one of them. And then there's James Gunn, the guy who runs DC Studios now.
Wow, so they've got some serious firepower behind this project.
Yeah, for sure.
So for those of us who maybe aren't totally familiar with Coyote versus Acme, what's the deal with this movie? It's not just like a regular Looney Tunes cartoon?
Oh, no, it's a live-action and animation hybrid. It's based on the Looney Tunes characters, obviously, but also on this really funny New Yorker article from way back in 1990. It was called Coyote v. Acme.
Oh, yeah, I remember that article.
Yeah, it was really clever.
So how does that become a movie?
Well, basically, Wile E. Coyote, he's always getting all those Acme products that never work, right?
Right, and he always ends up getting blown up or flattened or whatever.
Exactly. So in this movie, he finally decides he's had enough, and he sues Acme.
He sues them?
He sues them. He hires this lawyer, who's played by Will Forte, and they go up against Acme's big, scary lawyer, who's played by John Cena.
Oh, wow. So it's like a courtroom comedy with a cartoon coyote.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's also got this heartwarming element because, the lawyer and Wile E. Coyote, they end up becoming friends.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really unique premise.
Like,
And then there's Lana Condor and Tone Bell in the movie, too. I'm not sure exactly who they play, but I'm sure they're great.
it sounds like it's going to be a really fun movie. So just to recap, we had this whole saga with Warner Brothers. They were going to shelve Coyote versus Acme, even though it cost like $70 million to make.
And even though people seem to like it,
Right. But then everyone got really mad and they changed their minds, and now Ketchup Entertainment is going to release it in 2026.
yep, that's the story. It's a real reminder of how, the film industry, it's a business, but it's also about creativity and, people who really care about movies.
And the power of fans. I mean, if people hadn't spoken up, who knows what would have happened to Coyote versus Acme.
Totally. It really makes you wonder, what other great movies are out there just sitting on a shelf somewhere because for whatever reason, they didn't get a chance.
Yeah, that's a good question. What hidden gems are we missing out on? Makes you think.
It does.
Well, that's it for this deep dive on DRM News Global. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.